The First Crusade was quite a success for the Christian world. It accomplished its primary objective of reclaiming Jerusalem and other sacred sites from the Muslims, thanks to the skilled leadership and organization of the Crusaders, who created big and orderly armies under seasoned commanders. 3 Crusader states were established in the east: the Kingdom of Jerusalem, the Principality of Antioch, and the County of Edessa. A 4th, the County of Tripoli, was established in 1109. Edessa was the most northerly of these, and also the weakest and least populated. It was besieged and captured by Zengi, the Muslim ruler of Mosul and Aleppo, in December 1144. Zengi killed or enslaved the foreign Christians in the city, while sparing the local ones. Edessa's weakness was well known, but its fall still stunned Christians in the east and west. They quickly sent urgent requests for help to Europe, and in 1145, Pope Eugenius issued a formal crusade bull. It was unprecedented, with exact provisions to safeguard crusaders' families and property, and showing the latest developments in canon law. The crusade was proclaimed by Saint Bernard of Clairvaux in France and, with the help of translators, even in Germany. Bernard transformed crusade ideology, claiming that the crusade was not just an act of kindness or a war to secure the holy places, but a way of salvation. In his compassion, Christ offered the warriors of Europe a holy path of salvation, a way by which they could renounce all they had to follow him. As in the First Crusade, many simple pilgrims joined. Unlike the First Crusade, however, the Second Crusade was led by 2 of Europe's greatest leaders, King Louis of France and Emperor Conrad of Germany. Louis eagerly backed the crusade, but Conrad was hesitant at first and was persuaded only by the rhetoric of Saint Bernard. The Second Crusade also varied from its predecessor in that there were 3 goals instead of 1. While the kings of Germany and France headed east to reclaim Edessa, other crusaders went to Spain to fight Muslims or to the coasts of the Baltic Sea to fight the pagan Wends. The east also faced a different situation. Manuel Comnenus, the Byzantine emperor, was unhappy to see another crusade approaching Constantinople. The Second Crusade disrupted his foreign policy, which involved an alliance with Germany, Venice, and the Pope against the Normans. It also made the emperor's friendly relationship with the Turkish Sultan of Rum more difficult. Manuel agreed to a truce with the Sultan in 1146 to ensure that the crusade would not provoke the Sultan to invade Byzantine lands in Asia. Even though this was a smart move strategically, it convinced many Western Christians that the Greeks had betrayed their faith. Conrad departed in May 1147, joined by many German nobles. Conrad's badly disciplined troops caused trouble in Constantinople, where they reached in September. Conrad, ignoring Manuel's suggestion to follow the coastal route around Asia Minor, moved his main force past Nicaea straight into Anatolia. On October 25th at Dorylaeum, close to where the First Crusaders achieved their victory, his army, exhausted and without enough supplies, was attacked by the Turks and almost wiped out. Conrad, with a few survivors, withdrew to Nicaea. Louis VII, with his wife, Eleanor of Aquitaine, took the land route across Europe and got to Constantinople on October 4th, about a month later than the Germans. Some of his more impulsive followers, on learning that Manuel had made a truce with the Turks of Iconium and completely misinterpreting his motives, charged the emperor with treason and pressed the French king to assault the Byzantines. Louis favored the opinion of his more stable advisors and agreed to return any imperial lands he might seize. In November, the French arrived at Nicaea, where they heard of Conrad's defeat. Louis and Conrad then began along the coastal route, with the French now in the lead, and reached Ephesus. Conrad fell seriously ill and went back to Constantinople to the medical care of Manuel. After recovering, he finally reached Acre by boat in April 1148. The French journey from Ephesus to Antioch in midwinter was very difficult. Supplies ran low and the Byzantines were unfairly blamed. Manuel protected his cities against the furious Crusaders, which meant that the French used more energy fighting Christians than Muslims. Louis concluded that the Greeks were trying to weaken the crusade. He also had lost most of his troops to Turkish attacks by the time he reached Antioch, which was ruled by Eleanor's uncle, Prince Raymond. The Crusade's original aim of recapturing Edessa was no longer possible because Nur al-Dīn, the son and successor of Zangi, had slaughtered the city's Christian residents, making it hard to take and hold Edessa with the forces available. Raymond urged an attack on Aleppo, Nur al-Dīn's center of power, but King Louis, who disliked Eleanor's open support of Raymond's project, left hastily for Jerusalem and made the queen join him. In Jerusalem, where Conrad had already come, many French and German nobles gathered with Queen Melisenda, her son Baldwin III, and the barons of Jerusalem to discuss how best to continue. Despite the lack of the northern princes and the losses already endured by the Crusaders, it was possible to muster an army of nearly 50,000 men, the largest crusade army so far assembled. After much debate, which showed the conflicting goals of Crusaders and Jerusalem barons, it was decided to attack Damascus. Damascus was certainly a tempting prize. However, its ruler had asked for the help of Nur al-Dīn, and he was on his way. Not only was the Crusader campaign poorly planned, but it was badly carried out. On July 28th, after a 4-day siege with Nur al-Dīn's forces close to the city, it became clear that the Crusader army was dangerously exposed, and a retreat was ordered. It was a humiliating failure due mostly to the conflicting interests of the participants. Conrad left for Constantinople, where he agreed to ally with the emperor against Roger of Sicily. Louis's reaction was different. His anger against Manuel, whom he held responsible for the failure, was so strong that he took Roger's offer of ships to take him back and agreed to a plan for a new crusade against Byzantium. Without papal support, the plan failed, but the view that the Byzantines were part of the problem rather than the solution spread in Europe. The Second Crusade had been pushed with great enthusiasm and had stirred high expectations. Its failure caused deep sadness. The Muslims, on the other hand, were greatly inspired by the failure of the Second Crusade because they had faced the threat of another major Western expedition and had won.